In this next steps lesson, I'm going to look at starting a podcast or a radio show. This is something you could feasibly do from your own home. You know, we've looked at some stuff that is going to involve you getting out there, promoting, you're going to be out and about a lot. Starting your own mobile DJ business, again, you're going to be, it's shoe leather time, right? You're not going to be doing this from home. This is one that you can definitely do from home, a bit like making your own music as well. So a podcast or a radio show is, it could be one of any number of things. So let's just have a look at what we're talking about here to start with. It could be a regular mix show on something like Mixcloud. Now, having your own DJ mixes that you've made and that you're sharing is a good idea anyway. But here we're talking more about presenting a show where you produce it, you speak on it, you maybe have guests on it, you play music. It's kind of a finished thing. And Mixcloud is a very good place for that because it's legal and because they've got a lot of other people doing that kind of thing on there. If this is something that appeals to you, you know, it's easier now than ever to do it. So that's one of the things we're talking about. We could be talking about an actual podcast, which you would put on Apple Music, Spotify, and that kind of thing. It is possible to do music podcasts, although it's a grey area legally, and it's not something that we chose to do when we started our podcast at Digital DJ Tips. For that reason, we didn't want to get into any musical hassles, so we actually did a spoken word podcast. You could do that. There are people who start their own podcast about something, so you could do it about the scene in your town or about DJing or production or artists you like or certain genre you like or whatever. So that's another thing you could do. And it could also be on video. You could do a YouTube vlog series, just following your journey as a DJ, or tips and tricks. I mean, that's how Digital DJ Tips got started, by making tips and tricks videos and articles and so on. So there's lots of ways that you could have a creative outlet for what you do, either audio or video, that involves you filming something or recording something in your own home. So why would you want to do this? You want to DJ out in front of people, right? Why would you want to spend all this time in your own home doing this? Well, there's some good reasons. So the first one is it can be a good regular gig, especially if you can't get regular gigs. For whatever reason, you could have family commitments that mean you can't really get out that often. You could just feel like you don't fit in your local scene and you don't really want to get out there and get involved in that. You could be somewhere that just doesn't have a local scene and there's no way of moving. Whatever the reason, this can be your local gig. This can be the thing that motivates you, that you build up to, that you practice for. So it's a great idea to get some structure and to get a creative outlet when maybe there's nothing else open to you. It can lead to opportunities for your DJing. Anything that promotes you, anything that gets your name out there, anything that gets eyeballs on you can lead to other things happening in your life. So having a radio show on Mixcloud that gets picked up locally and people are listening to it could get you a gig in the local bar or club, for instance. And it can help you to build a fan base. Content is king. So that means that if you're making stuff, if you've got output, if you're doing creative things that are out there, then you will build fans, or rather, let's flip it around. If you don't, you never will, right? So it's a fan base is an important thing because it gives you influence and it gives you a profile. So this is a great way of getting people involved in what it is you like, especially if what you're into is a bit niche, because it might just be that there's 5 other people in your town who are into the genre you're into or the style you're into or whatever. But guess what? There's probably 1 million people spread out over the whole world. And if you can get tapped into 1% of them, guess what? You've got a following there that's big. So it can help you to build connections with people all over the world. No geography in the way. All right then, so how do we go about this? Well, start with what you've got. This is my biggest tip. You have a phone in your pocket that is a complete production studio for both audio and video, and it can also broadcast live. It can do everything, that phone in your pocket. You don't need more than that. Over time, you can build up to sophisticated recording devices and cameras and microphones and so on, and getting your set right so it looks awesome when you film yourself mixing and so on. And all that stuff's awesome, all that stuff's great, but you can start off on your phone. When I started Digital DJ Tips, recording tips and tricks and putting them on YouTube before we even had any DJ courses, I used my iPhone. I literally propped my iPhone up on a pile of books, got myself in front of it and filmed. And it's only with the money I made from the very first course I made that I managed to buy my first camera, and then it went on on from there. So you really don't need anything more than your phone in your pocket. Once you commit, keep it regular. This is important. If you say you're going to do something, then do it at the time you say you're going to do it every week. Digital DJ Tips has a podcast. We release it every Friday, and people know that we release our Tales from the Dance Floor podcast every Friday. At the time of recording this, we're doing a year of that. See how it goes. But the point is that we are committed and regular, and you need to stay committed and regular. So be honest with yourself before you start. How often can I do this show? How often can I do this mix? How often can I upload a vlog or a tips or tricks video to YouTube? And if you feel there's any chance that you won't be able to keep that commitment, then dial the commitment back a bit until you're comfortable. You can always up the frequency later, but cutting it back is a little bit lame. So be realistic at the beginning, and copy others who you admire. A lot of this is very new. A lot of this isn't something that's got, colleges that teach it and decades of teachers and superstars who've done it in the past for you to draw on the experiences of. So instead, look around. If you want to vlog, find vloggers in your niche or other niches that you like. If you want to make a radio show on Mixcloud, find 2 or 3 radio shows that you like on Mixcloud and listen to what they do. And copy the way they do it. That's okay. It's okay to copy, because guess what? You're not going to copy it perfectly because you're a beginner. And out of you trying to copy the people you admire, your own style will emerge. It's okay to do that. So copy others who you admire when you're getting started in this, because it's a young discipline and that is the best way to learn quickly. So that is starting a podcast or radio show. And if you do start it, do tell us underneath, then we can all come and have a listen. And I'll give you some resources here in the description as well. And I'll see you in the final next steps in this section, which is getting a job in the music industry. See you there.